So here we go. Go.
Hello, hello. This is Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games.
And Corey Thompson from Above Board TV.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 306. And we're recording it on February 8th, 2024. And Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Guys, this is the 6th episode that we're powered by Board Game Geek Network. And the subscriptions are soaring.
I feel the power.
Actually, no. I have not even checked. I don't know. And that's not the reason we do this. We do this to give back to the community. We do this to try to imbue a little bit of our knowledge to all of you, help you. And of course, we really like doing it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So, and you wouldn't believe the nonsense that goes on even before the podcast, much less the stuff that we address on this podcast. So thank you all for listening out there. We really love it. And of course, we have special guest here, Ignacy Trzewiczek, who has, graced us finally with his presence because busy man. Ignacy, what's happening over at Portal Games and PortalCon and Portal?
No, I need to address a couple of things from the intro. First, I'd like to welcome all our listeners at Board Game Geek because I think this is the first time I'm here. So yes, I'm the co-founder of the podcast and I was missing a couple of episodes. So welcome. I'm very happy to be here. And other thing, you mentioned that our subscriptions are going up. I think it's time for us to be very honest and say that for the whole time, we had no clue how many subscribers we have because we have no clue how to check it. And we are recording this podcast because we love it. And we don't know if anybody is listening to us. But we are just enjoying the time together. Friends talking about the games. So it's brilliant. We hope that we have new subscribers. Welcome to our podcast. But we don't know how to check it.
I think we've got a decent subscriber base because every time we have a meetup, we get lots of people.
Comes,
what
yes.
what sort of professionals did I team up with here?
Somebody might be able to go look at these stats, but do we care? No. Just know that if you're hearing our voices, you are an insider. That's what we want to make you. Ignacy, now tell us why you haven't been here and what all this busy stuff happening at Portal Games is all about.
Yes, Portal every January makes it very special month because in January we are revealing our catalog for a Polish market and for American market. Our Polish market, obviously, huge catalog. We announced 15 new games, including big titles like Age of Innovations, Project Gaia for Polish market, Inventions from Vita Lacerta, Evacuation from Vladimir Suchy. Like we are doing amazing games for Polish market. We are second biggest company in Poland, and the first one obviously is Asmodee Poland. But for American market, we also announced a couple of titles. I know that the Board Game Insider already covered that, so I thank you. I appreciate that. And now the news that is going out exactly today as we are recording, I'm very happy to announce that we signed a contract to release Imperial Miners in Serbia. This is a completely new country for us in terms of the licensing and releasing the games. And that means that Imperial Miners, our last Essen release, beat Robinson Crusoe, beat Detective, and we signed the most language editions for Imperial Miners. This is the most successful game for us in the history of the company. And so once again, for anyone who have not played yet this game, it's time to play it. It's fast, it's quick, it's a really great production, great value.
So
yes, and once again, if this game is more successful than Detective or Robinson Crusoe, it shows you something. We are very proud of this release. So this is the news from exactly today. We are announcing it today. As for the segment pre-orders and street dates, the segment that we are doing for many years in this podcast, on March 20th, so very soon, in a couple of weeks, we are releasing our first game in American market in this year. It's going to be Printing Press, a new game from Polish designers, co-designed by Łukasz Woźniak, the designer of Witcher. And this game is a family light, like Imperial Miners, family light game, very smart, beautiful components. The game was originally published by the company called Granna, who is publisher, but also, we discussed this many times in this podcast, a manufacturer. They have a huge skill set in coming with the very original components of the games, because their craft is producing games generally. So the game, like Gutenberg, is beautifully produced, has very smart components. So not only a great gameplay, but a great
Now, is it
production
the
value.
sequel to Gutenberg? Because it certainly
So,
shares the
yeah,
theming
yeah.
and the art, and
Ex-
it looks like Gutenberg.
Yeah, so they are trying to create like a family of these games, but the connection is a theme and the look of the game. In terms of the rules, is a completely different mechanism, is a little bit lighter game, but I think it's cute to have like a family of Gutenberg style games. Once again, you are working in a manufacturing books business back then, in the times of Gutenberg, and you are trying to take orders and create books, but the mechanism this time is different. As for what's happening at Portal Games on a daily basis, I would like to highlight a new feature on our website, because we try always to improve experience for our fans. And we started a new segment on our website. Every Tuesday, we publish updates. This is something that I came up with this idea that for the Kickstarter or the Game Fund, the publishers do updates. What's the status of the production of this particular project? And I decided I can do this for every project that Portal Games is doing for retail, like informing our customers, our fans. This game, we send files to print. This game, we send to translation. This game, we are shipping from China. So now this is like a brand new feature on our website, the portalgamesus.com. Every project that will be released this year, every week we are informing you what stage of this is. Yes,
and that's really great. Fantasy Flight, prior to Asmodee, absolutely did that for everything. Every time they announced it, they'd have a little
icons.
They'd have a track,
iconography,
right? And they have a track on where they were to the retail release. So that's
Stonemaier
great.
does that at this point, part of their transparency.
Awesome.
So this is a feature that we are having right now on the website. So every Tuesday, new update from our website. Check it out, portalgamesus.com. Generally speaking, we survived PortalCon. It was amazing. I hope you gentlemen saw the pictures, because I was posting them like crazy. The
Looks
cake,
so
the
good.
fans. It was really, really a blast. Something I will remember for forever. 1,000 people came to the convention, and we had 1,000 people. Almost 1,000 people in the actual room singing happy birthday and eating cake and having champagne. It was a moment to remember forever. So very proud.
So one of the things that was organized behind your back, I believe, from Mary, your wife,
videos, yep.
and Chevy.
Yep.
What's his last name?
Chevy Dot.
Chevy Dot. Sorry, Chevy. One of the things organized was a bunch of non-Polish people, like yours truly, saying happy 25th birthday in Polish, which of course we can't say. How bad was my trend? How bad was it? I mean, if you would have just heard me say that, would you, and it wasn't in this context, would you have understood the words I said in Polish?
No. But I need to give you a kudos, because many of the people who were invited for this project did the tricks, like using Google saying that, or using Mary's track or something like that. So you were one of these brave ones who decided, I was challenged and I will try to do it. So kudos for you. But yes, I had no clue what you were talking.
This I said. That's what that sounded like to you.
Wszystkiego najlepszego. 25 lat Portal Games. This is I know, lots of consonants. But we had a blast, and people were eating cake, having champagne, and this whole mix of these different videos from president of Simon Games, you, Chevy Dot, all the people from the industry.
So cool.
Amazing.
I did say it in perfect Italian though. So that I did. I did 3 different videos for you. Perfect Italian is what I said. I said Ignacy must understand Italian. He speaks like 20 languages. So
it's the national language of Poland.
Almost.
What's going on with you, Corey?
Oh man, it's been fun. I had Alex Schmidt, who's the COO of Stonemaier Games, over the house, and we played games like crazy and ate nice food and drank nice wine and did the Napa Valley thing. He brought me a copy of Wormspan, which I got to play, which I like a lot. I thought that Wingspan was fine and I appreciated it. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't I didn't dislike it. This is an improvement on Wingspan. The action selection mechanism is very good. The components are beautiful. I had a lot of fun with it. And now this week we have friend of the channel, Marion, is visiting. For before she moves on to the Gen Con Summit up in Seattle. So it's a nice little hop from here to Seattle.
I hope she hears us and we're waking her up at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time right now.
It's a big house. I don't
Yes,
think
it's
she
a big
can,
house.
I don't think she can hear us at all. So, and I seriously doubt she's awake. She arrived yesterday, was really exhausted.
I imagine.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun week of, again, good food and good games. And the exciting one for Above Board, the volcano video finally came out. So this is our video of playing a board game on a live volcano in Iceland, and it came out so beautiful.
I
I
saw it.
really have
So-
to give kudos to our whole team, the drone team, the helicopter team. We really had some magnificent
So-
shots there.
So, not being knowledgeable about the geography of Iceland, is this the volcano that right now is destroying towns in Iceland?
No,
It's a
no.
different volcano because everything just keeps erupting. It's like
we
Hawaii and
put a
Iceland; they
really
just erupt
nice
all the time.
public service announcement at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's really funny. You're right that there's volcanoes all the time in Iceland, and they often talk about the Iceland volcanoes and the tourist volcanoes. And there's certain volcanoes that are touristy Disney volcanoes where when they happen, they'll run over to go look at them. And there's other volcanoes that are nasty and they run away from them. This is the same fault line, but a completely different volcano. And the one we filmed was, not to spoil or burst the bubble, it was a safer volcano. It was a touristy volcano. There were many helicopters going around and a few people wandering when we were doing this, but I think the area we had was just to ourselves. It was absolutely breathtaking and gorgeous, and it was recent. The thing that got me the most is if you were sitting at the table playing the game with doom and destruction in the background, it was really cold. It was Fahrenheit about 40 degrees, and I'm not awake enough to do Celsius.
They
But it was
say it in
above
the
freezing,
video. There
but
was a
cold.
path was very cold and behind them very hot. They are saying it in the
Yeah,
video.
if you just stuck your hand out, it was very hot.
That's wild.
So we were
That is-
right in this border between the volcano
Yeah.
heating the
Yeah.
world
By the
and
way,
the world being cold.
that's 5 degrees Celsius.
5
Bonacor can
degrees
do it like
Celsius.
this. Boom, 45 degrees. Boom, done.
You're so good.
I'm
So
So
excited
European.
about the volcano video. So those are the big things happening in this half
Very
of the
cool.
world.
very, very
I was
cool.
thinking about this. We really do have the world split like almost in thirds here. Like we have such a huge range
We
of
need
geography.
we need somebody somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, maybe on Hawaii or maybe in Japan, something like that, and forget
That'd be
about it.
amazing.
So not to belabor the point, but we go through a lot of stuff to make this happen. And, with 9 hours between us all, it's Corey getting up at 6:30 a.m.
Oh, I'm
Pacific
up
time.
anyway. I
It's
really enjoy doing
Lit-
this.
For the record, if I had to get up at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time to do this podcast, it wouldn't be happening. Would not happen. I'd be like, guys, bye-bye. Not happening.
Probably
So-
a good thing I get up at 5:30 then.
I'm so happy that you get up for this. Anyway, over here at the Podfather Gaming, I this is video week. This is kind of cool stuff. So I just launched a new series of videos on the Podfather Gaming YouTube channel. I'm calling it the Podfather Loves ... Now, what am I going to do? I put up episode 0 where I explain it, that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a game, a thing in gaming, or maybe even outside of gaming, but mostly it'll be games that I just love. And I will talk about why this game is a 10, just an amazing game. I don't use ratings, but it's just something I love. And the first thing, episode 1, which will have dropped by the time people hear it, is going to be Dune War for Arrakis, which
It's a
is just
gorgeous game.
gorgeous.
Portal Games announcement at PortalCon Polish edition by Portal Games.
Let me tell you,
That
man.
is awesome.
Let me tell you, man. This game is so good. Everything about it. The art's great. The miniatures. The miniatures are great. They have. I'm showing things to people who who are actually watching the video, the miniatures they have for like the regular units, the elite units, and the super elites, they have different sculpts, which you can tell the difference of because the bases are the same. This is a regular and it's got a round base. The vehicles are amazing. This is a harvester. Here's an ornithopter. Maybe I get them a little closer for the camera. Here's a carryall to save some of your
That's so cool.
harvesters. But that's, and it just, I'll continue showing the miniatures because they're just ridiculous. This is a regular sandworm. This is a special one called the Wild Maker. This one is the old man in the desert. It's absolutely this thing is huge. This thing is, if it was actually furled straight out, it would be 12 inches. Well, it looks a little phallic, maybe these worms, but we won't talk about that. But the gameplay is really what it's about. So this game is being compared on some level to my number one game, War of the Ring, of course, because it's 2/3 of the design team. It's action dice selection. It's a card-driven war game with dudes on the map. Completely asymmetrical play. Completely. So War of the Ring has got asymmetrical play, but a little bit more symmetrical. This is completely asymmetrical. The Harkonnens have completely different objectives and completely different things that they're trying to do from House Atreides. And they have different victory conditions. The Atreides have to go up on what's called the Prescience track, and Harkonnens go up on the I can't remember the name. The other track. That's what it's called. No, it's not called Supremacy track. Thank you. But it's just a great game. Check it out and check out my new video series, The Podfather Loves Dune War for Arrakis, in this case.
That's pretty cool.
We also just recorded, and it will be dropped by the time this comes out on Valentine's Day. We dropped a new episode of The Quad, which is the show I do on Board Game Geek, where we take one topic in gaming and we push our example or game or whatever, and we make this one is the best in this category. This week we did best games for a couple because we were doing it. It's been dropping on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And we covered single people and polyamorous people as well. So it's not just, if you're not couple, it's okay. You should still watch this.
Be upset if Fog of Love doesn't show up on there.
Well, then you'll have to go watch it. And the most interesting thing about this was that our guest host, because there's always four of us and we always have a revolving fourth chair, the guest host was Travis Chance, who is a character above characters in gaming. So he made it even more funny than usual. So thanks, Travis, for joining us. But check out The Quad, which will show up on the front page of Board Game Geek on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And then I just literally yesterday filmed another episode of the Board Game Geek Show, which is a news show. Lincoln Dammers, Candace Harris, Eric Martin, and myself, a 1-hour show where we each talk about sort of the thing that we know the best. Lincoln talks about Board Game Geek news and maybe some of the upcoming conventions and what's going on. Candace, historical games. Eric Martin does the game news, new game releases, and of course I do industry news.
Eric's skill in news is incredible.
He is, and
superhuman.
I scrape some of the stuff that we talk about here, and then I get even more input, of course, from them. So that's what's going on over here. And this week's the Super Bowl coming up. So those who, well, by the time this drops, it'll already have happened. But
that's a sports thing, right?
People will have seen the crazy amount of betting that my brother does and that I'm involved with and stuff like that. So anyway, that's everything going on here. Let's get over to the event deck. So, we have some breaking news here that we really have to mention. Breaking news. Ignacy Trzewiczek challenges Corey Thompson and announces his race to win back the position of best newsman on Board Games Insider. Steven did not qualify for the race. All beer websites he visits every day rarely post board game related content. That's great. You actually put that in there. I assume it was Corey because I did not type that and I put this little thing.
I didn't do that. I would have written that Stephen did not pass the literacy test for the minimum requirement.
That's pretty funny because I had typed something completely different there now. So I just read that. So as you can see, I don't read ahead. But anyway, this week is actually a low news week. But Ignacy, by the way, you're losing, and I think I'm actually winning. Person putting in the most stories in here in general. But we will don't worry. We'll see what happens. Corey, you do quite a bit too. But anyway, the first thing that we have here of only a couple of news stories is something from Board Game Wire. We'd like to mention, try to shout out people, especially them. They're a new news site and they do a lot of stuff. It's about Hachette taking over for Super Meeple on U.S. distribution rights from Asmodee. So we had reported, actually, I'm pretty sure that Super Meeple was going exclusive with Asmodee, and like a year later, they ended that contract, and now they're going with Hachette. Hachette has really tried to make more and more and more inroads into the U.S. market and the worldwide market. So while Super Meeple is not the biggest company, Hachette is darn big and continues to kind of grab various businesses from within this industry.
So I just want to say I am so excited about this one. Super Meeple has done some really impressive games.
They have.
And at the most recent con, I believe it was at Essen, they showed me their new title, Chronologic, behind closed doors. And it's so cool. It's a deduction clue style game, but also has elements of Tragedy Looper, where events have happened in time and there are 7 time points. So not only are you figuring out who did it and with what and where, but you're figuring out the story as each of these characters in the Who Did It moves through the rooms and what happened at time point 3 and what happened at time point 5. I just love that mixture. It's by the designers of Turing Machine, so Fabian Grodel and Johan Levitt, and they're fantastic people, fantastic designers. So I'm really excited about that one.
Very cool.
We did in Poland Virtu. This is the previous year release from Super Meeple. This is a very interesting strategy game, area control with a very interesting rondel mechanism. So yeah, Super Meeple does amazing games. And as for the fight for the dominance for American market, we will see these news coming up for another decade. Like first we had, when we started recording podcast, there was these 5 famous distributors. And then things shake up, and there was Asmodee, and Asmodee became distributor. And now we see Flat River Group trying to get some of the pie, and we see Hachette trying to get some of the pie. So we newsmen, we are very happy.
Well, Hachette is definitely taking over the French market. They're doing such amazing things.
So we will report more on this news.
A certain highly placed source formerly at Asmodee North America told me specifically, we are not going to get into distribution. And then, of course, they got into distribution completely in the US. So it's very interesting. I obviously not going to tell you who that was, but it was a very highly placed source.
But I remember that there was one influencer called Ignacy Trzewiczek from Poland who said it will happen. And he was
I know that guy.
Yeah, and he was right. Your influencer was wrong. So yeah.
So this one's great, and it's definitely near and dear to Ignacy's heart. Kickstarter competitor GameFound doubled its tabletop crowdfunding revenue in 2023. This comes off of Polygon.com. I think you did, but I found it as well. But that's fine. While a recent report shows a second year of declining tabletop revenues at Kickstarter, customer appetite for crowdfunding tabletop games may actually be increasing. Ignacy, what are you showing there? What is that?
I don't know who of you put this news, but me as an insider from Poland, because GameFound is located in Poland, I have been briefed with all the data about this news. So yes, keep reading and then I will brief you more.
I will give you this much more news. So GameFound's revenue soared by nearly 98% to 56 million last year. And Kickstarter's haul was 226 million, but Kickstarter has been down year over year as GameFound has grabbed some of its revenue.
Much more significant percentage than I thought there was. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, right now, GameFound is at like 20% of the entire. Well, let's make it probably a little bit less than that because we also have to put BackerKit in there as well. But this is a big number. So Ignacy, you obviously have some. You were showing us just now a pamphlet, a flyer.
Yes. But so being serious, of course, because we like to be silly in the podcast, but sometimes we need to provide some information. So the GameFound sent out at the beginning of this year like a press release and information, and for the creators who work with the company, And Portal Games obviously is doing with GameFound a lot of business. We received a special gift box and obviously the dedicated information about how the company is growing and what's happening at the company. So yes, they provided this amazing pamphlet with all the data. And of course, they providing this data that show them as being winners in this fight against Kickstarter. But we reported, I remember a couple of weeks ago, so 5 out of top 10 board games crowdfunded in 2023 were done by GameFound, right? So the other 5, I think there was 4 on Kickstarter and 1 on BackerKit. Yes, so like a GameFound is showing the biggest campaigns in the industry. You can do them with the GameFound. They mentioned obviously Nemesis Retaliation, $12 million, and it became the 3rd biggest Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign in the history of the industry. So they are showing all these big achievements because the message they need to push over and over again. You can have a massive success with GameFound. It's not the little brother of the Kickstarter. This is as big platform as Kickstarter. And I like what the CEO of GameFound, Martin Świerkot, put out in the press release a few days ago when he listed the features they introduce in a GameFound. They support the creators and they support obviously the customers. So on one hand, Kickstarter was for the last year providing they have a new public person. They have the new person about the communication with the creators and fans. They have a statement about not using AI artwork unless specifically informed. And GameFound is fighting this with like this. We introduce this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature. This is how we improve the platform for the creators and for the users. So of course I'm rooting for the GameFound because it's a Polish company, but I found it very interesting from our perspective of analyzing the business. Different way of communicating. Like you can see in this communication from the GameFound is a Slavic communication. They don't put a lot of words. They say we introduce this feature and this feature and this feature, and they are going about discussing facts, not like great, beautiful public announcements. Kudos to GameFound. Yeah, we will see what will happen in the upcoming years, because now they need to prove they are that big. Yes, it is great to be underdog, but at some point you are no longer underdog, and it is getting even harder, right? So we will see what will happen. I'm rooting, of course.
I got 2 comments. That one, if you're a gamer and you do a lot of crowdfunding, if you're not looking at GameFound, you're missing out. So you should be there too. And number 2, Kickstarter is scared. Period. They, by some of the actions they've taken, they are shaking at this change.
For a long time, they've just assumed that they were king of the hill, the best one, and they didn't care about anyone else. And now they have to make some changes.
One of the most fascinating features they introduced this year, I'm talking about the GameFound, is something that was, for me, perplexing at the beginning. But now when they show the data, they show it makes sense that you can pay for the game that you are backing in a couple of months, paying smaller amount of money. And with the Kickstarters, like these projects that cost $100, $200, for somebody to pay $200 is too much, but paying $20 for 10 months is a different story.
Right.
And introducing this one feature, which maybe sounds silly at first, but then when they show in the pamphlet how many users use this feature, just to $20 every month for 10 months for the crowdfunding project is finishing, they are finishing files, printing files, and you are paying $20 every month, and then you have it in the game. So unexpected feature that put a lot of people in the business for GameFound.
That is truly amazing. And Corey, you made a statement that I want to make sure everyone understood. They thought that they own the market and that they can just do whatever they wanted to do, not listen to fans, not listen to publishers, because their customer service sucks. Anybody's on that platform will tell you that.
But they're changing,
But that is the single most arrogant thing you can do in business, to say, we're in the dominant position. We can do anything. Guess what, guys? Now you're going to pay for that. So I don't want to be negative here, but that's a business, 101. Never
Yeah.
sit back and say, well, we just print money here.
And especially
anything.
now, let's not totally discount BackerKit. BackerKit's had a
Sure.
couple big hits.
Yep.
And like you said, Ignacy, one of the top 10, and I think that was the Gloomhaven Miniatures RPG campaign.
Yep.
Did
exactly.
well on BackerKit. And BackerKit has coming up the next Brandon Sanderson novel. So I don't know how they scored that.
Yeah,
but,
they're moving it from Kickstarter to
and that Brandon Sanderson was
my
the
God.
top Kickstarter of all time.
Yeah,
So
that's gonna be massive for
if they
BackerKit.
can advertise it well and let people know, if they can get the word out,
they've got the 20,000 email addresses that they did on their first or whatever it was, so they're probably going to be able to do it. Anyway, that's a lot, and we're going long. Let's get over to strategy and tactics. So this is the Ignacy show this week. Absolutely.
These are all the Ignacy questions.
This is silly. This is silly what you are doing here.
Well, this is not silly because this is like I had to delay all of these questions because it says it's for Ignacy. So I'm not going to answer it. The guy wants you or the woman wants you to do it. So first question comes from Adam C. He's at SETI on BGG. And he says, now that we've seen the heartwarming finale of Ted Lasso, where will Ignacy and Steven get their weekly warm fuzzies? Is all hope lost for a Ted Lasso 11 expansion? That's certainly where you come in. Will we see a sequel about the Polish game designer with an unpronounceable name? I'm not even going to try this. Is that really a Polish name of a guy you know? Hired to manage a Premier League. That can't be a real name.
This is a real name. I don't know this person, but this is a word, yes. Trzewiczek, yes.
Wow.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Of course, we are not doing an 11 expansion about the Ted Lasso. We are not doing an 11 expansion because the base game already had 5 expansions. So this is enough for expanding this amazing game. We are continuing to support the game with free scenarios from our website. So we might have a deck of funny cards with some funny names or some influencers. So it may happen. Tadeusz Szczebrzeszczykiewicz may happen as a free expansion from our website. But being all serious, the line of 11, we are very happy, very proud how the product looks altogether. And there are no plans to develop this line in the new commercial expansions. But the design of the game is very active on the forums. He's very active as a designer, and he sometimes contacts us and says that he has something new, and then we use it as a free PDF for our fans.
Very cool. Adam C. also asks, you said that you don't want to be in the RPG business due to ROI, but would you consider licensing out, for example, Nurishima Hex to a publisher who would use their in-house system for a game? We've seen this with Glorantha getting multiple treatments. Savage Worlds and GURPS are well known for publishing settings for both popular and or obscure properties. Right, more obscure. There it is.
Yes, I can answer this very quickly. There will be announcement this year. I cannot say any more this right now, but we will get back to this year.
Very cool.
Fantastic, man.
Ignacy, I'm going to skip the next question. You can read it if you want, and we can get back to it if you want to answer it.
I can answer it. I read it. I read it before. Yes, we can read. Yes.
There you go. Ignacy does not shy away from the tough questions. Yes, go ahead, Ignacy. So you want to so this was about First Martians.
Yeah. So the question is, postmortem on First Martians. It was so anticipated, and I think it was a good game, though the original rulebook wasn't the best, but it didn't seem to sell well, and within a short period of time, it was one of the free games at BGG and available for deep discount. What do you think happened with First Martian, and what lessons did you take and use for the new edition of Robinson Crusoe?
Yeah, so this is a great question, and I answered this question already in Polish, and I think it's funny that with the change of the technology, some of the content that I was putting over the years in Polish, with the AI at this point translating almost everything, I think some of these content will be opened for our fans in America. Corey knows because we discussed this many years ago. I recorded for the 20th anniversary of Portal Games, I recorded a series discussing history of my company, Portal Games, and I recorded, be with me, 40 vlogs, each vlog 45 minutes. So we have like hours of content with the anecdotes, stories of the history of my company, all the crazy stories that you guys would never believe that I did this in the past.
God,
And
I
it
love
is
those
recorded,
stories.
yes, this is recorded only in Polish, but with the development of AI, we can see that you guys will be actually able to see them and watch these videos in a year or two when the AI will translate. Why I'm mentioning this? Because one of these videos from the series of history of Portal Games was dedicated to First Martians, because it's a very important game for the history of the company. And there was a 1 hour video in which I was discussing what went wrong with the First Martians, what mistakes I did, what I would change today if I start designing this game. So to sum up this 1 hour long epic video with me being very honest about this project, the problem with the First Martians was pride. One of the, this is called major sin, or how you say it in English, seven sins.
I don't know.
I don't know. The 7 C's?
No, sins.
Oh, the 7 deadly sins.
It was
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yes.
7 deadly sins is what we
Seven
said.
Yes. So
deadly
one of them is pride, and
Yes.
the first Martian is my punishment for being committing a pride. So I wanted too much. I felt very skillful back then. I felt that I know everything, that I own everything, and I can design the best game ever. And in this video, I explain the base game of Robinson Crusoe has 7 scenarios. Base game of the First Martian has 7 scenarios, and a campaign that has 5 scenarios that are interconnected, and then has another campaign with another 5 scenarios that are interconnected. I felt that I can pull it off. So the problem with the First Martians, you guys know it as a problem in the rulebook. The problem is the game had too many variants, too many scenarios, too many edge cases, too many different exceptions that are coming out with the scenarios. I wanted too much. I felt that I can do the best game on the planet. I was wrong. It cost me a lot. So once again, the short answer, what went wrong? I made a pride sin. Longer answer, on Polish YouTube channel, in a few months or years, you will be able to watch it in English when AI will translate it for you.
Well, that's very honest, Ignacy. Thank you for that very broad postmortem. And
That's what
by
happened,
the way,
yes.
by the way, that was from Clint, who is a friend of the show. He's at Cheese on Board Game Geek. So thank you for the question. Thank you, Ignacy, for that great long answer. Corey, I want you to read the next one.
So we've got a question from Kurt von Hoyfeld, who is at Vitruvian Gamer, friend of the channel.
Yep.
With a company phrase like board games that tell stories, does Portal Games sometimes refuse to or doubt about adding a game into their portfolio? A game like Basilica, for example, does it take more time to make the decision whether to publish or not?
Yeah, this is a great question. We answered questions like that back then with Steven about when we refuse releasing a game. We got submitted the prototype, or we got submitted some project, and when we refuse. And back then, indeed, I was saying, I'm a board game that tells stories. I'm the Robinson Crusoe guy. I'm the detective guy. I'm a Cry Havoc guy. And I was refusing releasing abstract games or little card games, etc. As time passes, Portal Games changes their catalog. We announced last year and this year that there is less and less games designed by Ignacy, because Ignacy is lazy, and we are pursuing for the new great games for Polish designers. So, for instance, I just announced Printing Press with my whole support and the love to the designers. Printing Press is not board game to tell stories. It's a just great family style game, but there is not much of the story in this game, and yet Portal Games is right now releasing it. So I would say that Portal Games had this amazing decade of releasing games highly dedicated to the immersive stories, and now things change. I'm not designing games anymore, and we are now looking for just great games that not always tell great stories. So yes, it was a case. It is no longer a case for my company.
I think we're running long. Maybe we'll take one more question and then we'll move on. Kurt, again, Vitruvian Gamer. By the way, I love his moniker, Vitruvian Gamer. Ignacy, what made you decide not to have a booth at UKGE this year and not see Stephen Bonacor there and have a beer with him? No, I added that part in. Instead of just visit yourself with that coveted copy of Imperial Miners. Is that still because of Brexit costs? So you were there just as you and hanging out and taking meetings, but no booth.
Yeah, and once again, this is a topic that we discussed, and this makes no sense. We are running this podcast for 15 years. Each topic was already discussed, but discussing it once again. When publisher goes to the show, the costs are huge. You are paying for the booth space, you are paying for the accommodation, you are paying for the volunteers. This is a huge operation. If you don't have a new release at this show that will sell a bunch of copies, you are losing money. This is a fact. And then some companies use it from their marketing budget. They say, yes, we'll lose money, but we need to present our brand. We need to present our evergreen titles. We don't care. And then there's Ignacy who cares and doesn't want to lose money just for the sake of being at the show. So we didn't have a new release among this period of time. It was May last year. We had nothing new to release in May. And we said, no, I'm not going to just lose the money and just show off that I'm there. And we decided to not go. So that was a financial decision. Either you have a new release and you go and you hope to balance out to not lose money. You very rarely earn some money, or you're just spending money. And I was against just spending money for the sake of spending money.
I used to make money, but then I'd spend it all on my bar bill. So it was kind of a wash.
Balancing out, yeah.
And we all appreciate that.
And everybody that hangs out with me, yeah, I got it. I'll take that bill.
I'm taking advantage of that.
Then I look at the bill. I'm like, oh, God, that's a lot of money. There goes the profits. Anyway, thank you, Ignacy. We have more questions for you, but I think we're running long enough.
Thank you for all the questions. Yes.
Let's get over to play testing. Okay, so this one from last week was a question that both Corey and I decided on because it came from like a listener, basically. I think it was Christine, maybe, wasn't it? No, it was a guy that sent me a game, who I can't remember. He sent me a game called What's Next? And it was about how you play. How do you decide what game you will play or play next on your game nights? I mean, the one game that I hate playing is what game are we playing? Oh my God, I hate that.
We're all too polite.
Everybody's polite. I have a lot of friends who are not polite. They just throw it on the table and say, we're playing this. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't decide again. So we asked the question of everybody else. Well, what game? A lot of good answers here. Anybody find anything that makes sense for you to bring up? I'll go first if nobody else.
Sure. There were a lot of really good ones here, but go ahead.
Yeah. Marcus Shepard says, how about let an algorithm decide for you? My recommendation engine, recommend.games, has a what to play functionality. For example, if Steven came over my place, I can use this link to have the algorithm recommend games I own to play weighted by preferences. That's very self-serving. It's his little thing, but I love that. He should probably publicize that a little bit more because that's a cool one. I mean, people can put games into it, and then it could do it based on everyone's types of preferences. Yeah. Neat.
Herb Montalvo had an interesting one. Said, we created a game in our group that we score points on how well you play. Then you can carry over those points to bid on the next option of game. So it's turned it into a gaming system, which I think is really clever. I like that one.
Yeah, and that what was describing what Herb is. This is Herb. That's right. Herb is the one who sent me this game.
There you go.
Thank you, Herb. Thank you. And I'm sorry that I forgot your name. He has now created a game and he put it up on what's the site called that makes little like one-off games for you?
On Crafter?
Game Crafter. Yeah, he put it on the Game Crafter and he sent me a copy. Ignacy, he sent you a copy too, or it's in the mail probably because it's going to take an extra 3 weeks to get to you. Did you get it?
Thank you. No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're going to be getting a copy of What's Next from Herb Montalvo.
Very cool.
And it's he's got this whole system about who's won, who's done this. It's a game of figuring out what to play next. Kind of cool.
Here, our group, when we were preparing like a marathon of gaming, like a weekend of gaming, we were very professional because this is serious stuff. So we opened the whole Excel file. We put all the list of all the games that we have in our wish list. And then each of us rated these games, how much we want to play them. And then based on the calculations, we had a solution which games we will play. Like that was serious stuff.
That's the most wonderful, geekiest way to pick I've ever heard.
I love it. Jacob Stein has an answer that normally that has gone on in my game group, most back in New Jersey, because I really don't have a game group here. He said that usually it is what I feel like playing or teaching. I am the one that hosts and has the games. Sometimes I will get a request from a friend for a particular game ahead of time. When moving on from the first game, if there is time, I give options. Same game again, these other games, etc. So back in New Jersey, my buddy Chad, who's a very big fan and listener of the show, he was the game teacher. He's a rules guy. He I guess he just like lives to learn rules. And I appreciate anybody who does that. Learning Dune War for Arrakis was slightly painful for me because I don't learn rules dense games, at least not well and not usually. So, Chad and Jacob, for you guys who go out there, you learn the games, you bring them to the table. Kudos to you. That's wonderful. Anything else stand out?
There were quite a few of those. Here's another version, Valentin Creton. I'm the teacher most of the time, so I let players decide. If they can't, I have a suggested games bag with a pre-selection I came up with depending on number of players. So there's a lot of people answering about, I have a lot of the games, I learn a set of them, and then I show up prepared, which has always been my role when I go to game days.
I'm the guy who buys the games or owns the games, and then I make other people learn the games for me. This, though, I learned Dune on my own.
My favorite system when I had a big mini convention over at the house with about 20, 30 people, and I just put a table out. These are all the games I want someone else to teach Corey. And that worked really well for me.
That's cool. And this one is maybe one of my favorites too. It's Peter Woken, a nice, wonderful guy, friend.
Just met Peter recently.
Oh yeah,
it was so amazing.
Good guy. He worked at Fantasy Flight for a while. He goes to the gathering. He's just a nice guy. He said usually we play legacy style games. So my main game group has our selection blocked for multiple months. I love that. I mean, because I love legacy style games, but you really kind of most of the times you want to play with the same people. So they probably have one after the other, all like, okay, we're going to do Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do Trail at House on the Hill Legacy, which I got to get to the table. So this is very cool. That's something I would like to do myself.
Fantastic.
All right, everybody. So for next week, Corey, you had this very interesting question. What is it?
So I was really interested in the extension of this. What role do you play when you have a regular game group? Are you, and I put 4 examples of roles, certainly it's not limited to these, but are you the helpful mediator? Are you the quiet, sneaky player? Are you the aggressor or something else?
Ignacy, what are you when you sit down and play and you're not like trying to teach people?
The sneaky one.
What are you?
This is this famous story that we also mentioned in this podcast, that after one of our vacations with our friends, when we played Bonanza, famous Uwe Rosenberg game, when I explained everyone at the table, they are making wrong deals and I have the best deals and they need to listen to me and they need to shut up because I have the best deals. When the game finished, my wife Mary in a hotel room said, Ignacy, you are embarrassing our family. You will never play Bonanza again in your life. And for almost a decade, I was not playing Bonanza because she forbid me. Now I have like an open, like I can play Bonanza again.
That's really funny because
it really happened.
Same thing. I'm very low key and I tend to be quiet, but with Bonanza, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, when you see somebody doing wrong deal, you want to interrupt this deal. And she took me to the hotel room and said, Ignacy, that was embarrassing. You will never play this game again.
I've had the same talking too.
That's great. I mean, Bonanza is a great game. I actually played it recently. I played Bonanza, the dice game, and then Bonanza, just the game. And this,
Yeah.
the latter I played
I
just with
I
Paula as a
love the
two-player.
two-player only Bonanza. I think is very well done.
So, that's funny because I two-player Bonanza I don't think is as good because you don't have enough
No,
negotiation.
but there's a separate game
Okay,
that is
gotcha.
a two-player only version
Yeah.
of Bonanza, and I think it's quite
Yeah.
good.
So I love Bonanza, and I love that thing when like everyone's offering you something, and there's so many levels. Like, sure, oh, that's a great deal, but this is going to help you too much, so I got to go and give it to somebody else. It's a great game. If people
It
don't
is
know
such
that,
a good game.
old school, probably early 2000s. I mean, it's such.
I know Uwe said that he designed it in response to the fact that Magic the Gathering as a card game was doing well.
Really
Interesting twist. Oh my God.
I had an interview with Uwe, and he said that he heard that card games were coming back, so he decided to make card games, and Bonanza was one of the first
Very
ones.
cool.
That's pretty funny. So I'm going to answer for mine. I am absolutely the aggressor. When I play games, I'm always attack, go
Well, you
after.
live for theme, so you're in the role.
And I'm always, my stand-worms are going to be eating all the Harkonnens and things like that. So yeah, I live for theme, and I play game. Most of my favorite games are games of conflict of some type, whether it's hidden traders or literally dudes on a map wargaming. That's what I do. And people have said to me, Monica, you're an amazing aggressive, like offensive player, but you suck at defense. And that's true. It's like, because I'll spend all my stuff and like just attack, and I'll destroy things, and all of a sudden, boom, I get the barrage.
You're overwhelmed by the
yes,
role, by
exactly.
the story, which is great. It's amazing to be in a game with you.
Thank you very much. So how does everybody else feel about this? When you play games where you know the people at the table, that's kind of where we are with this. Are you the helpful mediator, the quiet, sneaky one, the aggressor, or something else? Right now, Ignacy, because he's back and I'll put him to work, will create a thread on Board Game Geek for you to answer this question. So please go to our guild on Board Game Geek, find our playtesting thread with this question, and post your answer. And in the meantime, let's get to the final scoring.
Dun, dun, dun.
My voice gets deeper every time I get to one of the segment breaks.
It's gravitas.
I need gravitas. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. You want to be part of this podcast? You can. Just ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment by posting them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. And also answer our question to you from our playtesting segment by going to our guild on Board Game Geek and looking for the thread that Ignacy is now creating. Check out our websites, which are portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, dicetowerdish.com, and play2zgames.com. We're all over social media, so interact with us, please. On Facebook, please like our pages, which are /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, /PodfatherGaming, and /Play2ZGames. You can speak directly to Ignacy, Corey, and Steven on Twitter, X, and Instagram at PortalGamesUS, at PodfatherGaming, at Dice Tower Dish, and the active YouTube channels are Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. Ignacy's still dancing on TikTok, Portal Games US. We really love to see you in person at an upcoming convention in 2024. The next one I'll be at, and I think, Corey, Dice Tower West, you'll be there too?
I'll be there.
Awesome. Can't wait to see everybody at Dice Tower West. Please come up to us, say hi, let's have a drink, let's play a game. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. If you want him to edit your podcast, reach out to him to discuss at tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that beautiful voice you hear doing all of the intros, the outros, the in-betweens, that's Ray Greenlee, and he can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Anything else? Any little secrets?
I have a question.
Awesome.
After recording 300 episodes, to be precise, 306, how is it possible that you don't remember this outro by your heart and you still read it?
Because
I'm pretty sure if I insert little words in the middle of it, he'll just read whatever.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You want me to memorize it? Because I've done some acting in my past. So I should memorize it like a script and then just perform it each
That's what
time.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. All right, I think that's it. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? We'll see.
Wow.
We'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you, everyone.